All right, serious question. If you had to grab your get home bag or your go bag and walk 5 miles right now, could you do it? I thought of this question the other day as I was working out on my property, and I had to move a large cinder block, basically about 150 yards from where I had put it down to where I actually needed to use it. And as I was walking, I realized that, oh my gosh, I am not nearly in the shape that I need to be for an emergency type of situation. I've been retired from the military for a while. My fitness has slipped. I am definitely not as healthy as I want to be. And this topic really came up because I realized if there was an emergency right now, it would be a huge stressor on my body, both from a strength perspective and a cardio perspective. And here's the deal. You guys probably have all of the water, all of the food, all of the supplies, and you might be neglecting the most important prep, which is just taking care of yourself. Okay, number one disclaimer on this video, we are talking about your health. I am not a doctor. I am not a healthcare provider. So this is all information that is just good recommendations for how to stay healthy in an emergency situation. Before you start an exercise program, please make sure that you are consulting with your physician and that you are doing things that are in your level of ability and you are building slowly so that you don't injure yourself, so that you don't create more damage than good. Before we dive in too deep, I would love for you to just drop a comment below about your favorite way to stay in shape, whether that is a workout at the gym, a home workout, etc. What do you do to keep your fitness high from a prepping perspective? I think we can all learn from each other. All right, so let's dive into the 3 reasons you absolutely need to be thinking about your physical fitness as part of your prepping plan. Let's talk about the number 1 reason you need to be in shape, and that is simply to be able to move far and potentially move fast. In an emergency situation like a wildfire, a flood, a tornado, maybe even a hurricane, there could become a time where you need to leave your house. And according to FEMA, normal evacuation requirements are somewhere in the vicinity of 5 to 10 miles. So here's something interesting. The CDC has done research and they say that the average adult walks fewer than 2,000 steps a day. Now, most of us have some kind of pedometer, whether that is a Garmin, a Fitbit, it's something, your iPhone, that probably tells you how many steps that you walk in a day. I would encourage you to check those numbers because the stark truth is that 2,000 steps is way less than you would need to walk in an emergency situation. 10,000 steps is roughly 5 miles for most of us. So if you are thinking about an evacuation, that 5 to 10 miles means that you need to be able to comfortably walk 10,000 to 20,000 steps. Now, if you have done much walking, you know that that can take quite a while, particularly if maybe cardio has not been your focus. And so really thinking about where would you go and how would you evacuate for an emergency on foot is an important place to start. Add to that this idea that you might have to be carrying a pack or helping someone else, and you're going to realize very quickly that we are probably not moving enough. And again, I am guilty of this. I would say on average right now, I am only getting 3,000 to 4,000 steps. I spend a lot of time sitting in the office, working on videos, editing things like this. And what I realize is I am not as active as I was when I was in the service. And that is just simply my environment has changed. The environment outside has changed and I am not moving nearly as much. And so I would just say, as you start thinking about this doesn't mean you need to go out and start hitting the gym 2 or 3 times a week doing crazy cardio. It just means that you need to really get comfortable walking. So make that your first goal. 5,000 steps, 10,000 steps, that is a great place to start. It probably won't be quite enough to get you through a true emergency, but it is a great interim step for you getting in shape. And maybe some of you are thinking, no, Laura, not me. I am totally in shape. But let me just tell you that according to research, about half of Americans actually get enough steps in a day. So you might be in that half that is not getting enough activity to really keep yourself healthy and to move you in an emergency situation. And so thinking about that cardio piece, thinking about the requirements to move and move quickly, I really want you to think through what you can do to improve that. The second thing to think about is just strength and capability to move heavy things. I think, again, we are in a lifestyle, many of us, where we aren't moving heavy things very often. I will tell you again, my husband and I just retired from the military. We moved back home to Oklahoma, where the culture is much more agricultural based and much more rural than what we have been used to for the last 20 plus years. And it was a wake up call, right? When we come here and we work with our peers, they outperform us, like hands down outperform us in terms of strength, cardio capacity, just the ability to keep going. We have gotten soft from sitting at our desks and doing what we would call normal office work. And for a lot of you, that is your normal situation at work, and you are not moving heavy things all the time. You're not walking those distances. Maybe strength is not where it needs to be for an emergency situation. So why does this matter in a prep? Well, because in an emergency situation, you may be lifting heavy things. That may be helping a family member, having to physically carry them somewhere if they're injured or if they are hurt, or if you are trying to evacuate. That could be carrying a household pet, and being able to do that comfortably is important if you are trying to take care of your animals, your family, etc. moving forward. You may also be required to lift heavy things if there is debris in front of your house or debris blocking the roadway, or think about things that you may need to lift to just keep your supplies going. That could be 5-gallon bucket full of food supplies or a 5-gallon bucket of water, which is very heavy over time. So you want to think about really what I call functional strength. That strength in your back, in your legs, in your arms, those muscles that you would need to do normal day-to-day activities that maybe are not normal for you in a regular day-to-day office setting. So when some of you are thinking about weights, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I need to hit the gym and I need to be into CrossFit. Like, that is not the kind of strength I'm talking about. I'm really talking about functional strength. Again, my husband and I were shocked when we came back here, and even his dad, who is obviously much older than us, can outperform us often because he's just grown up in the country, moving things, doing exercise stuff. And we realized, man, we don't have that. We are not prepared in the way that we thought we were. And so really getting ready to focus on that strength is hugely important. So if you're not familiar with FEMA CERT, CERT is just the Community Emergency Response Team. In their training, they highly recommend that you get comfortable carrying loads to 40 to 50 pounds. And again, that is just because that is a common weight. Think about moving sandbags for helping with floods. Again, moving buckets of food or 5-gallon containers of water. You are going to be moving a lot of weight. And so getting to the point where your body is comfortable doing that without just wrecking you the following days is super important. Again, my husband and I can lift that type of weight, but often then the next 2 or 3 days, we are feeling it, right? Whereas a lot of our friends who grew up here in Oklahoma in, again, a more rural environment are much more able to lift heavy things and not have it impact them in the same way. And then the third reason that you just want to think about your health is that honestly, health is your first line of resistance in an emergency situation. When systems break down, when we don't have access to resources, when we maybe don't have clean water, or we're having to work a lot harder to do all of the normal day-to-day activities, your immune system is going to break down more easily. And the healthier you are, the more you have paid attention, again, to building that cardio, building that strength, but also just building your overall resiliency and overall health, that is going to increase your ability to withstand any type of emergency event or a stressor in your life. And another scary statistic is that 6 out of 10 adults in the United States have some sort of chronic illness or something that they are on long-term medication for. We've talked in other videos about getting supplies of that medicine to make sure that you are in a healthy space. So if you don't know about that, go check out that video up there. What it also reminds us of is that the more we can do to reduce those chronic illnesses, those things that are kind of going with us, think about heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetics, like things like that. The things that you can do to reduce the burden on your body are going to pay dividends in an emergency situation, not only from having access to resources or medical attention, but just your ability to rebound and your ability to survive in strenuous conditions. If you've ever lost power, if you have ever gone camping or hiking, you know that that takes a toll on your body that sitting in our normal air-conditioned houses or in our normal offices or in our cars just doesn't create. And so anything you can do now to reduce those types of chronic illnesses is going to pay dividends for you in an emergency situation. Because what we know is that inactivity and lack of health is probably the #1 cause for a lot of those chronic conditions that we talk about. Again, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, being overweight. Again, we all are struggling with this. I think in the United States right now, we are a country that has gotten very hooked on convenience food, on fast food, on the easy option. We don't eat as well. We don't move enough. We're not outside as much as we should be. And because of that, our health has declined. And so focusing on how to just maybe get outside a little bit more, going back to that physical activity of walking those 10,000 steps a day at a minimum, maybe doing a little bit higher level cardio capacity work a couple of days a week, doing high intensity training where we really build that cardio in conjunction with strength exercises. All of those are great resources for you to use for your health program. I want to wrap this up by just saying, like, physical fitness is not going to make you invincible, but there are simple strategies you can use to increase that cardio capacity, to increase that strength. Find your favorite workout programs. Go on YouTube and watch some videos. I love the Peloton app and all of the things that it provides, whether that's a high intensity workout, yoga, meditation, all of those things play into my fitness. And I think that is a great place to start. So find what works for you. Make sure you are doing activities that you enjoy, that are useful, that will help you build those core strengths that you need, that will help you build that cardio capacity you need. Because here's the reality. We all know this, like in the back of our minds, if we hate working out, we're just not going to do it. So pick the things that are fun for you and pick the things that you know you can stick to, because that is what is going to make a difference kind of moving forward. And if, like me, maybe you've slipped a little bit, maybe you just aren't quite where you want to be, don't beat yourself up. Just take action moving forward so that you are moving your health in the right direction for your emergency preparedness plans. Thanks so much for sticking around. Again, I appreciate you guys. If you haven't done so already, please hit like, hit subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next week.